Oh, gnarly, dude. Looks like you just went overboard.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Overboard. I'm your host, Jenny.
And I'm Anthony.
And today we're going to be doing a podcast on creating and living your best life. In our last podcast, we talked about goals and setting them. But there's a lot that goes into creating a life that you love, and goal setting is not the end all be all. So,
Goal setting's more like I don't know, it's strategic, right? And kind of what we're talking about today is not very strategic and more about, observing how you feel about yourself and the things that you want to accomplish. So today's talk is a little bit more oriented on you and your feelings, right? So when you hear people talk about like creating a life you love, or creating the life that you love, what do you usually hear people recommend, right? As far as goal setting or visions for the future, what do you hear people recommend a lot?
I hear a lot of people recommend vision boarding when it comes to like trying to create a life that you love. I want to hear what your thoughts are on vision boarding though, because I have like some of my own thoughts that I'll share.
I think vision boarding is great for some people, especially if you're a kind of like visual learner, I guess, or just a visual person in general.
Yeah.
Um, I've made a vision board myself, and I think it's great for people who are willing to put in work and have a lot of time to put into it.
Right.
Um, but I don't know, like for me, I just feel like vision boards weren't as successful as they could be, right? Like so, like I made a vision board and it was a whole hassle and it really didn't turn out like how I liked it because I did it when I was in college and there was like a little workshop we had and we had all these magazines and that's what they tell you, right? Like you got to get a poster board and get some magazines and then you like cut out the pictures that are related to what you want, right? And I don't know, that just is like really time consuming and I'm not like so I'm personally for me um I don't like being creative in that way.
Mhm.
And I feel like for vision boards in my mind are kind of like they're easy to recommend, easy to talk about, but then starting it is the hardest part, right? Because you have to gather all your materials, you have to look up or if you're just going to use like a printer and print off pictures, right? You have to look up all these pictures that you want at on your vision board, and then you have to get the glue and the supplies and clip it on whatever you're using to like clip on your vision board, right? You're using that. You have to get all those materials. So I think there's like I think vision boards are great if you can actually follow through,
Yeah.
but but I think there's a big barrier to entry that's I guess not a barrier to entry, but there is like a barrier to completion, right? Because I know we've tried to make vision boards
Vision
before, right?
boards. Yeah.
And what did we just bought the poster boards? Well, I bought the poster boards, and I don't think we actually did anything with it.
No. So I personally am not a big fan of vision boards. I think for some people they work a lot and for others they don't. For me, vision boards only work if it's something tangible that I want. So if it's like, I don't know, a car or a house or something that like I can tangibly see and put on the board, that works. But if it's like more of a conceptual type intangible thing that I'm working towards, like
Like if you just put money, right?
Yeah, like money. If I want to make a specific amount and if I just put money on the board, like to me that's not enough. I need to see it written out on paper. So I'm more of like a writing it down type of person, visioning, than I am vision boarding. But again, if it works for you, it works for you, and everybody's different. So vision boarding can be very beneficial to people who um, are more creative or like to spend time.
Are artistic in that way. You know, like I
Yeah.
would. I'm not an arts and crafts person.
Well, also
Like
like
that's
it's
just
like
my thing.
if
Like
it doesn't look good, like look appeasing, like I won't want it. So if I make
right.
it, even if it's like good, if it doesn't look good, then yeah, it's not
Right.
gonna work.
Like you want something to be like aesthetically pleasing, especially if it's gonna house your goals. I remember the vision board I made was like so ragtag, and like I can't cut out shapes for crap with
Yeah.
scissors. And so like my pictures that I used in the magazine were all janky, and then the glue, you know, like sometimes when you glue the magazine paper, like it puffs up and bubbles,
Yeah.
and like it just does it, and it is the garbage. I put it on my wall for a while, and I was like, yeah, there's no way taking this down.
One thing I have done that is kind of like the equivalent to making a vision board, in my opinion, is like using Pinterest and creating a board on Pinterest. And then that way you have it on your phone, you can look at it whenever. It's not something that like has to necessarily be visually like appeasing to you because it's on your phone, so you're not looking at it like in your room or anything. Um and it's quick and easy. Like you don't need to be cutting out magazines and trying to glue stuff down. You can just go on Pinterest, look up
Find the
what you
pic you
want,
want.
find it, add it to the thing, and it's yeah. So that's a tip if you do like vision and boarding, but you don't like what the work that goes into creating the board. You could
That's actually like
use Pinterest.
really smart. Like I didn't even think about that,
Yeah,
because it just quick. It's quick and easy, you know. And we use our phones like
all the time.
constantly,
Yeah.
right?
And like on
So
mine I have like quotes and stuff and then also like pictures and all of that stuff. And it's I don't know. It works better for me than an actual vision board does. And again then I also have like a journal where I write everything down. So that's another tip is journaling. You actually Anthony's boss, his old boss, wrote a book and gave seminars about visioning and he has like a separate way of doing visioning. Do you want to
yeah.
explain that?
So basically a company I used to work for, a great company in the Ann Arbor area. I don't know if I can say the name on air, but um, anyway, great company. And um, while I was working there, some of the seminars and classes we had to attend um, were based on this concept of visioning, which is it's essentially like journal writing, right? But it's not in the same way. Like I feel like I don't know. I guess it would be journaling in a sense, but so my old boss Ari, he was the one who kind of taught us this technique, and talks about it. So you know, like a lot of people when they think of writing out and journaling like their vision of the future, um, they say like I want this by this date.
Mhm.
Um and maybe it's just like a bullet point, like a bullet checklist or something like I want these things. Kind of like goal setting, right? Like
Yeah.
and just write down like what each vision they have and things that they want to accomplish, but they don't really go any further, right? They just say like I want this, I want it done by this date, or like
Right.
I want what do you well, I guess what do you want, like I want money, or I want a
A
new
house.
job or
Yeah.
a house,
Yeah.
and I want it by this date, right? Well, so this is kind of where Ari's visioning process takes a departure that he taught us. Um the strategy that he told us to use was when you're writing, write as if you've already obtained whatever your vision is. So it's like it's really unique in the fact that you're not, it's almost like you're writing a fiction story, right? Because it hasn't happened yet, but you're
Right.
speaking about your vision as if it happened, right? So like,
Instead of like I want, it's I have.
yeah, it's like I have, right? So and you go deep into detail. And it can be, it doesn't have to be some super long thing. Like it can be a paragraph, it can be a couple sentences. But the idea is to not focus so much on what you want as how having what you're having succeeded in your goal makes you feel, or how you would think it would make you feel in the future, right? So like I think the one of the visions I wrote was for the kind of house or yeah, house or apartment, I guess if you want to say,
Penthouse.
that I would be living in
Yeah.
by the time I'm 30, right?
Yeah.
In so what I said is the year is, what is it, 2021, I'm 20,
2020.
I don't know, it's irrelevant. By the time I was like, it's the year 2026 or something, right? So I wrote, it's the year 2026. I'm I'm now living in my high-rise penthouse like apartment or property,
Mm-hmm.
like in a very tall building, right? Like in downtown Dallas. That's how I started it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go into describing what the inside of it looks like.
Right.
Because again, I want to create a feeling of what it's like to be there. So I picked a very specific day and I said, it's a nice rainy day, and my like the whole outside wall is just a big glass window, right, that overlooks the city of Dallas in my
Mm-hmm.
high rise. And it's a nice chill rainy day. I've got my like excessive sound system and entertainment system living room area, which is right by the window so you can look out. And I'm playing lo-fi, and I said like the smooth, I'm listening to the smooth sounds of lo-fi hip hop on
Oh.
my LG surround sound system, right? And it's a
Yeah.
chill day, it's raining. The kitchen's got the smell of, like lemon, some like a lemon black tea. And I described what the kitchen looks like, so I wanted my house to be, apartment to be like black and white kind of theme. And I know that's kind of boring, but like I like monochrome and green.
Yeah.
So like, so I described like I have a bunch of plants by the window and all throughout my apartment to add some green to the monochrome colors. They bring fresh air that reinvigorates you and makes you feel like at peace, right? So I really tried to focus on what kind of feeling I had having obtained this house, this property, what it
Yeah.
would be like to live in it. I wanted to talk about how comfortable I was, the lo-fi hip hop playing, that was just a little
So
thing
it's
to add a feeling, right?
Yeah, so it's like you write down what you have, how it makes you feel, the senses that it's bringing to you. So
Yeah.
like touch, feel, smell,
Yeah.
sight, and then what everything. Well, yeah, senses, what everything looks like. So
Yeah.
it's like an overall picture of everything.
Yeah, it's an overall picture of everything, because and this is kind of like I guess the idea behind it, right? Like the premise behind it is that, humans even though we say a lot of us are like, yeah, I'm a hard ass and
Yeah.
I don't have feelings, right? Like we all feel,
Yeah.
and the human body is incredibly responsive to feelings and emotions, right? So
Mhm.
the premise is when you can create this kind of scene, like a setting, you set an overall vibe for it, and
Yeah.
you start talking about the senses that you're experiencing being in your vision. It makes it more real, so that when you are either writing it or when you go back and read your vision, right?
Mhm.
It's the same way when you're reading like a really good book that like sucks you in and transports you to another world, right? Like when
Yeah.
you're like reading Harry Potter or whatever, like the Hunger Games, right? Like they write in a way that kind of transports you into that world. And so we can do that ourselves by explaining in that kind of detail. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like very long, right? But as long as you can like capture some key emotions, some key senses to and this is kind of like my departure from what I was taught.
Mhm.
I really like to focus on the feeling because like I said, we're definitely feeling based creatures, and you end up reading this stuff and you feel good about it, and then you see it in your mind's eye, like see it in your third eye, almost like this vision.
Yeah.
It's in it it's clear as day. So like typically, like with the more detail you can give in a vision, as far as like sensory information, the feeling of being there, the colors that you're seeing, the smell, the touch. Maybe you have a really nice carpet, or like I had a really nice carpet in my living room, right? Um, but it was cool because like every time I go back and read it, it's like I'm transported into this like it's almost like a daydream, right? It's like writing a daydream out,
Right.
and you feel good about it. You feel good about your future, and you know it. I think it works in manifesting. I'll let you know when I'm 30 and I live in my high rise, but like um but I don't know. I think it's a cool new way. The in it it's fun, because
Yeah.
it does make you feel good. Like I used to hate writing for the longest time, and then I took like Ari put me in some writing workshop, or offered me the opportunity to join a writing workshop, and I took it, and I kind of like started like the visioning thing, and I once I started writing visions, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of gas." Like I'm yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. So that's my recommendation for people, especially if you're not like visual or like artsy fartsy. Like if you like to write or are a good writer or just have like 10 minutes of your time and you want to write a quick vision, like write it for something specific. Don't make it, I mean, make it broad enough that you can
Change.
kind of change or elaborate on, what's going on, but definitely like have a specific vision in mind, right? So like you can write a vision for anything. I wrote a vision for my apartment. I wrote a vision for like what kind of job I would like to have in the future, and what it
Right.
feels to be like in that position once I have that job, right? So,
Yeah, so either vision boarding or doing the journaling, visioning that Anthony just explained is a good idea if you're trying to create a life that you love. Another thing that you can do, or that kind of will help you be happier in life, is to only keep people in your life that bring value to it in some way. And when I say value, I mean that can be anywhere from love, comfort, happiness, like, or, education, wisdom, like if as long as they're bringing something to you and not taking from you, because people that take from you, I mean, you don't want to get taken from, so you want to cut those people out. And you can always, if you like, sometimes there's people in your life that you like love being around at certain times, but when you're with them too often, it becomes like kind of a toxic. I'm doing air quotes when I say toxic because, you know,
Yeah.
that's like subjective, but toxic environment. And like, so just limit yourself with those people so that you only have those good times and not so much of that toxic, you know. And if somebody's constantly wanting something from you or only there for you when you're like in a good place or if it benefits them, like they shouldn't be in your life either, because again, like they don't really care about you. They care about what you can give them. You know,
Right.
like those
Yeah.
friends that only ever are there when you have like something monumental happen that's going to benefit them, you know?
Right. Like, and I get it. Like, everybody's got their own thing going on.
Yeah.
So like we can't expect people to like be there for us all the time, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about kind of like the people, like Jenny said, who are they just are maybe bring negativity into your life. They bring um they make you question yourself and your goals. Like I often hear like a lot of people, they'll say, I don't ever tell anybody what my goals or my vision for the future is because, or like, I don't tell my friends that because I'm afraid they'll get shot down. Like they'll shoot it down or think it's a stupid idea. Right.
And honestly, that's another thing. If you want to do something, don't ask for anybody's opinion.
Yeah. Don't ask for
Because
anybody's
there's always
opinion.
going to be somebody that's like, maybe you shouldn't do it. And then you're going to second guess yourself and you're not going to do it, even though that could have bettered your life in some way. So don't ask for other people's opinions.
And if you do want to ask for somebody's opinion, it better be someone's opinion who has achieved what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, not somebody that's like has no ambitions or no
Right,
goals
like,
or like
you
is
can't-
not doing anything.
You can't say I'm trying to I'm trying to, I don't even know, become debt free or something.
Yeah, to somebody who's in
To a person who is in debt, right?
Yeah.
Like, and asks for their opinion, and they're just gonna tell, it's not possible, man. Like the man just puts you under, and they're the government, they just want to keep you in debt because we're like all cogs in the machine, which cogs in the machine for sure, but like,
yeah.
we do have own responsibility to ourselves, like I said, and
And sometimes there's those friends too that are like, you find when you hang out with them too often, you start doing things that you wouldn't do yourself, if that makes sense. Like you start mimicking their behaviors because you are who you hang out with. Like that is a true
Right.
fact. And so like I've had friends in the past where like I hung out with them a lot, probably a lot more than I should have, and then I started seeing myself like become a person that I didn't enjoy, and so I had to push back and limit myself when I hung out with them. And yeah, and like that, it happened. So just watch who you're hanging out with, how they make you feel, and also like how your actions change when you're not around that person anymore, if that makes sense.
yeah, it's like it's the natural process of socialization, right? So like the more you spend in a certain environment, especially if it is a negative environment, and it's gonna rub off on you, and it kind of takes some awareness to take a step back and say, hey, this is not me, this is not what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't make me feel good when I'm in this environment. And it's don't be afraid to like, people can't be afraid to like lose friends either. Like,
Yeah,
it's
natural. It happens.
like I'm thankful enough that I love my friends and like we all support each other really heavily, but I have had people in the past that I've, you know, just had to cut out cuz it's not I guess
Not everybody's meant to stay in your life for your entire life, you know?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
not everybody's meant to say and you know, like we said there are people who are just they don't care what kind of good person they are, if they're a good person. I don't know, like if you hang around people who treat other people badly,
You're going to end up treating people badly.
well, not only that, but it's like how can you trust those people to treat you well if they're willing
Oh,
to
yeah.
treat another
If
person
they're
badly,
treating other
right?
people badly behind their backs, they're definitely doing it to you. Like, there's just
There's no
way.
in between, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So just
So
keep that in mind.
yeah, and I mean, if you have some crazy like toxic people stories, like hit us up, slide in our DMs. We'd love to talk about them because I'm sure everybody has them.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, like I said, I have the belief that most humans are incredibly intuitive and can know when they're being taken advantage of or when they're not being valued, right, by their friends or by the people around them. So I trust your judgment, folks.
Yeah. And so the moral of the story is just make sure that you are happy and loved by those people around you and they're always supporting you even when you are at your lowest and your highest, because if they're only supporting you at your highest, they're not your real friends. Just saying.
And also on that, this is a two-way street, so you also have to
Yes, exactly. You have to put in an effort too,
to
or like bring something to them. You have to be a good person.
and it's
Also.
not hard. It's not hard. I mean, yeah,
It
it's
takes
not
more
hard to
effort, yeah.
it
More
take
effort
it
to be a bad person than it does to be a good person.
I would say it takes just about as much effort, right? Like you can be a neutral person by doing nothing. And then you can be a bad person by putting in effort in a negative way. But if you put in positive effort, you're for good. But it's just like, yeah, it's a two-way street. So that is another really good key to creating a life you love, other than surrounding yourself with supportive people who give you their unconditional support, right?
Yeah.
You have to be that same person, right? So you have to seek to enrich other people's lives. And it not only because it makes you feel good, but it builds the community. And when everybody's feeling better in your circle,
You feel better.
it's a cycle, right? Like it's a cycle. You all learn from each other. So got to try your best to be supportive even when you feel like dirt booty trash.
Yeah.
I'll get like I try to let it be known like I'll gas my friends up anytime, even if
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like trash. Like
Yeah.
I'll gas them up because I'll gas up some random person on the street if they ask me if I see that they need it. And it's the small acts like that really, to create a life of love, you have to live with love.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
And then also you want to stay in the moment. Like, I feel like obviously we are thinking beings. We constantly have something running through our mind, and sometimes it gets hard to remember to be in the moment when you're, in the moment. And so, like, when you're out with your friends or literally just doing anything, just to, like, be there doing whatever you're doing. Like, be conscious of everything that you're doing and, like, enjoy it. Like, even if you're just sitting in bed, like, what sounds are you hearing around you? Like,
Yeah.
what's it look like outside? Have you ever, like, looked up at the sky and been like, wow, like,
Dude, all the time.
yeah.
I'll look up some days at the clouds. I'll be like, damn, son, that's beautiful. But no, that's a really good point too, is
Because the less in the moment you are, the more miserable your life is. Because you're always thinking of the future, and if you're constantly thinking of the future, you're never in the present.
And it's
So,
hard because I know, like, I have anxiety.
yeah.
You also have pretty
I have very bad anxiety.
very bad anxiety, right? And
Yes.
so it's hard. Like, so we're not sitting here saying it's like it's easy to live in the moment, because it's hard, but being able to take the conscious effort, um I definitely think is a huge practice that people should try to do, um like you said, like, don't really even, I don't even say like focus on and be aware of yourself. It's it's better, because that's when you get in your head, when you start like, oh man, I feel like anxious, or I don't like the way this is making me feel, or something like that. Like, you kind of like can freak yourself out. So the awareness part comes into what Jenny said, right? Like, what are the sounds I'm hearing? What is the environment? Because that allows you to get out of your head. And that's actually the way people live. I guess if we want to call them, what do they call them, psychonormative or something.
Don't know. Never heard that one.
Basically, people without mental illness, right?
No. Not me.
Yeah, like um they don't have the inner dialogue that people with anxiety do, or that a lot of people do. Like, yeah, inner dialogue's not a thing for some people, guys. Crazy, right? um but that's part of it, is they are so focused on these external factors that there's no time to get lost in your thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
um So, actually, one of the practices that I learned was exactly kind you said, like, take the time to look around at each individual thing in your vision that you can see in front of you, right? So, like, and just flip. You don't think about what the meaning behind what you're seeing. You just look at an object, immediately look at another object, look at another object, look at another object. Um, Maybe say like it's green or it's black or something like that, like, describe the color, because that takes you out of your head. um and it also allows you to just see the world around you, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
I'll stare at the sun because I'm dumb, and I'm like, wow, it's just so beautiful, meanwhile my corneas are freaking burning, right?
No, my favorite thing to do when I'm like stressed out or like overthinking things is I look at a tree. And you're probably like, what? A tree? But like there's always like a subtle movement somewhere in the tree, whether it's like the branches or a
Yeah.
leaf, like, and then you can also look at like the shape of the leaf and like the colors of the leaves, and like I'm looking at a tree outside my window right now. But it's like when you really like look at it and think about it, it's mesmerizing, and it like takes your mind off of other things. Um but yeah, it's not even like and when we say this, it's not even in like an anxiety thing, like just in general, like for everybody being in the moment, like we said, it can be hard, but like try your best
Yeah.
to just live in the moment without thinking about the future or what could happen in 2 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour. Like, just focus on what you're doing now. And then
Yeah.
when that 10 minutes comes, you can focus on that. Basically, just feel everything that you're doing, and it's going to create a better environment for yourself, and you're going to be a lot calmer and probably a lot happier. And we're
Yeah.
trying to create a happy life here, so that's a really good tip. And then obviously, going along with that, you want to observe where you're putting your time and how where you're putting your time makes you feel. Your feel. I just said that so weird.
Your fear.
And where you're putting your time makes you feel. So like, I don't know, if you go to the gym and you feel anxious all the time, maybe you should try working out at home or something, or like doing a different type of workout. Or if you're going to work and you're coming home really tired, try, maybe you don't want to change your job, but maybe you can try things to make working less miserable. It like I don't know, some people I know feel better when they run before they go to work, so maybe going on a jog before you go to work. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
some people do yoga when they wake up first thing
yeah,
when I'm not that person.
just
It's
do
funny.
something that's gonna make you feel good.
Yeah. It's funny too that you mentioned that too, because like I woke up this morning and my roommate was doing yoga with his girlfriend, and we had a couple people over last night, so like everybody's doing yoga in my living room, and I'm like, y'all are crazy. And they're
No,
like, yeah,
but it
man, we're
really
just
does just change your mindset throughout the day. Like
yeah.
meditation, yoga. I'm not a fan of yoga. I don't. I tried it. Don't like it. Meditation. I love meditating. That's a good thing to do first thing in the morning. Reading a book. That can calm you down.
Reading a book, writing in the morning also is really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be intensive, you know, like it's small things like that though that kind of like if you notice you're doing the same routine and you're feeling drained from it, right? Like every day you do the same routine and you just something's not right. You feel that something's not right and you got to pay attention to that and own that feeling.
Yeah. And you need to
Change it up. Switch
Yeah.
it up.
And trial and error. Some things aren't gonna work the first time, so you gotta continue to manipulate whatever it is that's making you feel
Your behaviors, your actions, your or something around you, maybe change your room, change the like rearrange your room, right?
No, I
Like
had to. I am somebody who rearranges my room like every 4 months because it just like
yeah.
I don't know. I get too. I don't even know how to describe it. I just have to change my room every 4 months or so.
That you get that from mom though. She always was trying to rearrange stuff. I
But I
rearrange
feel
things
so
at least
energized
twice.
and new whenever I like
Yeah.
change it up. Like it gives me motivation, productivity.
No, you feel good cuz you notice the
Yeah.
change. People it's small changes like that really make a big difference. This is kind of like off topic and a bunch of stupid information that I know, but there is there's basically a job called industrial psychologist, right? And so the job of an industrial psychologist is to go into a workplace and to strategically change the aesthetic, the design of the workplace, or create or specifically create a design for a workplace if they're going into a new, building something.
Yeah.
To make people feel better. It's really weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they somehow strategically, whether it's changing, so like colors, right?
Colors, yeah.
Colors convey emotion.
Yeah.
Typically, red conveys the emotion of warmth and hospitality, whereas blue is like cool and chill. Sometimes maybe think like cold is the what people get conveyed. But so industrial psychologist, they'll go in, they'll move a couple things around, maybe open up a floor space more if like everything's kind of closed off and like with cubicles or something, and strategically design it so like the space is freer, more inviting, more welcoming. They'll change the color scheme, maybe use some more red colors to do hospitality things. Just stuff like that. And it's finding I don't know, just changing up your day if it's not feeling right is as simple as, you know, I don't know, putting a picture on the wall.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, so I guess then what are some strategies that can help people observe where they're spending their time and make adjustments?
Even like the slightest thing is like writing down everything you do every day, and then just like literally everything that you did, from like brushing your teeth, combing your hair, like write down everything you do throughout a day and how like you felt or during each thing and how you felt after each thing. Because often it's like the after that you find the most side effects, or the most, side effects. I said that right. Most
Yeah.
side effects under. Um, yeah, but just like, or like I said, being in the now and consciously thinking about like how the now is making you feel, like how what you're doing right now is making you feel.
You have the option to delegate as much time as you want to things that are making you negative or positive. So it's kind of, I get, when if you can get yourself to stay in the moment, you can observe the things in the that when they take up your time, they make you feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and you can use that at your to your advantage.
Yeah.
You
For
can
sure.
use it to your advantage. It and really change the way you do things. Um, delegate more time to what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm. It's all about that balance and moderation, baby.
Balance and moderate. It's literally the hardest thing for humans to achieve, but it's so simple.
It really is. It's so
It's
so
so
simple. We
simple.
just make it so complicated.
I'm not even I can't even say like I'm fully there yet, but like it's the process. It's a process.
Yes. Yes, it is. So, just to recap, the main tips we had here today is creating a vision board, and or if that's not your thing, doing the envisioning where you are in the future. So like I am or I have as a journaling um prompt. In addition to making sure that the people that are in your life are creating value, good value, positive value, making you happy. Third, like what we just talked about, the balance and moderation. And to achieve the balance and moderation, you want to observe what you are doing and how what you are doing makes you feel, and then change and manipulate what you're doing or how you're doing something until you get to a place where it feels better. And all of these things are going to contribute to making a better, happier life. And if you guys have any tips of your own that you want to share with us, or just any questions or advice that you guys want, we do have a phone number. You guys, it's always in the description. You guys can call in. You can send us a text, or you can head over to Instagram. It's Overboard X Podcast. That's Overboard, the letter X Podcast. And we post whenever weekly on there. So we post weekly
We
on there.
try to
So
post weekly on there, right?
yeah. So you guys can check that out also. But yeah, we want to hear what you have to say. So definitely let us know.
Everyone's different. So the strategies we recommended today, the things we talked about today, might not work for everybody, but tweak them a little bit, yeah. You have tweak, make them your own. If you have something like we said, if you have something that works for you that we didn't talk about, send it to us. Well, we'd love to talk about it because we're here to help people. I think that's why we created this podcast, to try and create value for other people. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Bye.
Bye.
We'll get to steadier waters eventually.